May 2021. In the small town of Caddo, Texas, nestled near the edge of Possum Kingdom Lake, two sisters, 18-year-old Rachel Morgan and her 15-year-old sister Katie, vanished during a short walk near their family's lakeside cabin. What began as a routine evening stroll quickly spiraled into one of the most baffling and emotionally charged missing persons cases in the American South. The sisters had been visiting the cabin with their parents for a long weekend. Rachel had just graduated high school, planning to study environmental science at Texas A&M. Katie was a sophomore, quiet and artistic, often seen sketching birds and trees around the cabin. The trip was meant to be a family reset. The first time in months all four Morgans were together without distractions. That Saturday evening, around 7:45 p.m., the sisters left to walk a familiar trail along the lake, a 25-minute loop they had done many times. Rachel wore a denim jacket, Katie a pink hoodie. Sunset was expected at 8:20 p.m. They promised to be back before dark, but they never came back. By 9 o'clock, their parents began calling their phones. No answer. At 9:15, their father, Michael, began walking the trail alone. He called their names into the woods. By 9:30, the entire cabin was lit, and the parents were combing the area with flashlights. At 10:15, they called 911. The initial search turned up nothing. No signs of a struggle, no dropped phones, no clothing, no footprints leaving the trail. Over the next 72 hours, the area would be combed by over 150 volunteers, police dogs, drones, and helicopters. The only clue, a hair tie found near a split in the trail, confirmed later by DNA to belong to Rachel. A pair of fresh shoe prints, size 9 men's, were spotted near the split, walking parallel, not crossing. Local rumors spread fast. Some said the girls were taken by boat. Others claimed they had run away. A few believed they had never entered the trail at all. Then came the first break. 5 days after the disappearance, a trail camera located nearly 2 miles from the main loop captured two figures, matching the sisters' builds, walking hand in hand away from the trail toward a stretch of marshland and private ranch land. The timestamp was 8:03 p.m., the last clear visual confirmation of either girl. Investigators began focusing on landowners near that sector. One name repeatedly surfaced, Dale Bickley, 59, a retired oil worker who lived alone and had a known history of trespassing disputes with hikers and campers. Neighbors described him as paranoid, often yelling at strangers near his fences. He refused a search of his property. On day 9, police returned with a warrant. What they found shocked them. In a locked shed on the edge of Bickley's 12-acre lot, they discovered clothing matching descriptions of what Rachel and Katie had worn that day. There were also photographs, taken on a digital camera, showing the girls alive, sitting on a mattress in the shed. The timestamps were from 2 days after they vanished, but the shed was empty. No one there. Bickley claimed he had found the clothes and camera dumped by someone near his fence line. He was arrested for obstruction, but without the girls, he couldn't be charged with kidnapping. Not yet. The story exploded in national media. Sisters vanish from Texas Trail. Interviews, vigils, and protests followed. The Morgan family appeared on national morning shows, pleading for any information. Online sleuths flooded forums with theories. TikTok videos analyzed body language in Bickley's police interviews. One Reddit user even traced a purchase he made online: zip ties and a camp stove, 2 weeks before the girls disappeared. Another sleuth dug up a restraining order filed against him by a former co-worker who described Bickley as obsessed with control. 2 weeks later, a private rancher spotted a flash of pink near an old water tank on his property. It was Katie's hoodie. Near it, buried shallowly, they found a human hand. Tests confirmed it belonged to Rachel. The area became a full-scale excavation site. Within days, they recovered Rachel's remains, partially decomposed, wrapped in a tarp, and weighed down with rocks. Katie was still missing. Bickley remained silent. Months passed. A leak from inside the sheriff's department revealed that Bickley's name had been flagged on the second day of the investigation, but a misfiled report had prevented timely action. A deputy was quietly suspended. 6 months later, a hiker 5 miles south of the cabin found a rusted-out van deep in the woods. Inside, police found blood traces matching Katie's DNA and a page from her journal, a ripped scrap that read, "He told us if we screamed, he'd bury us apart." Katie's remains have never been recovered. Bickley was charged with the murder of Rachel Morgan and the kidnapping of a minor. He was convicted in July 2023 and sentenced to life without parole. To this day, he refuses to speak about Katie. In 2024, a journalist for a regional newspaper, the Brazos Ledger, published an investigative series titled The Lost Trail. It featured interviews with former co-workers of Bickley, men who remembered him as controlling, volatile, and obsessed with security. One recounted how Bickley once joked about getting away with something if you know the land. The article also revealed that Bickley had installed motion-activated cameras in areas far from his main cabin, and some of the footage was never recovered. A tech expert hired by the Morgan family later confirmed that one of Bickley's SD cards had been wiped with industrial software not available to the general public. Investigators reopened a cold case from 2008, a missing 14-year-old girl named Danielle West, last seen 20 miles from Possum Kingdom Lake. She was never found. Her case had eerie similarities: an evening disappearance, no trace, hiking trail nearby. Bickley had been working in the area as a pipeline contractor at the time. Despite a renewed search, no new evidence surfaced in Danielle's case. Meanwhile, the Morgan family filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the county for negligence, citing delays and ignored leads during the early days of the search. The case is ongoing. In 2025, a documentary titled Vanished in the Pines premiered on a major streaming platform. It included dramatized reenactments, interviews with family and journalists, as well as audio clips from the 911 call made that night. The film reignited national interest in the case. Online campaigns emerged demanding renewed searches for Katie's remains. A GoFundMe raised over $200,000 to hire private search and forensic teams. Following the documentary's release, new witnesses stepped forward. A former part-time ranch hand who worked for Bickley in 2021 claimed to have seen Bickley with a young girl near the waterline late one evening, days after the girls vanished. He had dismissed it at the time, thinking it was Bickley's granddaughter. He now believed it was Katie. Police interviewed the man and attempted ground radar scans around the location he indicated. Nothing conclusive was found, but investigators confirmed that this was an area previously unsearched. In late 2025, a forensic linguist analyzed Katie's journal pages, suggesting that the final entries indicated a state of emotional collapse, potentially written under coercion. The linguist noted abrupt shifts in tone, vocabulary regression, and panic spacing, possible signs of extreme psychological stress. In early 2026, The Morgans received an anonymous letter. It contained a single photograph, a weathered image of two girls sitting in what appeared to be a cabin. One of them bore a striking resemblance to Katie. The image was postmarked from Arizona. The FBI is currently investigating its origin. The case of the Morgan sisters remains open, not because of a lack of evidence, but because one body is still missing and one question remains unanswered. What happened to Katie Morgan in the final hours of her life?